Cancer research is fundamental to taking care of patients in the best way possible. And it is what differentiates a cancer center like us or a health network like ours from other community hospitals and clinical care entities.
The role of a cancer center in an academic health network is multifaceted. The pillar really is clinical care and providing cutting-edge treatment for patients that are undergoing therapy for cancer. But there's also a basic science component of a cancer center. There are research studies that are conducted at the bench level that are then translated into the clinical setting and into clinical trials, and a cancer center makes that possible.
In our cancer center, we have a 3 research program categorized as a cancer biology, discovery and development of the therapeutics DDT along with cancer control. So by categorize our research into subgroups that actually help the people know each other better, work closer, and this is like the metaphor like we are building a neighborhood in a large city. So the collaboration and the eventual translational result can happen in a more faster pace.
Really critical for this cancer center is research that is focused on challenges that the community residents are facing. So important to, for example, to do research on disparities that exist in certain types of cancers, in particular pancreatic cancer, multiple myeloma, for example, we're leaders in this area in the country, in fact. And so as a regional cancer center and medical health network, it is really important to make sure that the research is aligned with the needs and the challenges faced.
I'm incredibly privileged to be part of that investigation and the growth of the Cancer Center. It will provide knowledge, global knowledge, meaning global at the Wisconsin level, what cancer is, how cancer becomes cancer, any in blood cancer or any other cancers. I think it is an integral part for serving the community in Wisconsin and globally to fight cancer.
Cancer research is expensive, like most other fundamental, basic translational or clinical research. To give you an idea of what a small study might cost to take an idea and develop the preliminary data that is required for nationally funded research, is an example would be probably $50,000 to $150,000 for a period of 1 or 2 years, would allow a single investigator to have one student develop an idea that could develop preliminary data to develop a full-fledged research program. A full-fledged research program funded by the NIH, for example, typically amounts to $1 to $1.5 million over a period of 4 to 5 years. That would support research for 3 or 4 graduate students or postdocs to really develop in a major way an idea that could be translated at some point in time in the future. Clinical trials are a magnitude higher in costs. An investigator-initiated trial usually is sort of the earlier stages of clinical trials to determine the appropriate dose for patients, and that typically costs between $200,000 to $500,000. Phase 2 and Phase 3 trials now move up to $2 to $15 million for a trial. That involves obviously a lot of coordinator, nursing, and physician time, which is very expensive. And the coordination of those studies often involve multiple institutions, which adds to the cost. So having said that, we have over 200 clinical trials ongoing right now in this cancer center.
The ingredients are becoming more and more expensive, what we need to use in order to be more and more sophisticated, to provide better targets, to personalize medicine, for example. If you think of a personalized medicine approach, each individual is different, and investigating that individuality on a molecular level is incredibly costly, incredibly intensive, labor intensive, but also just supports infrastructure support.
The types of funding that really supports a cancer center is multifold. Of course, you have NIH, federal funding. National Cancer Institute is an example of that. Additionally, there are other sources like the Department of Defense. So all of those and others that I didn't mention are really important to create the stepping stones to major breakthroughs. In addition, you have pharmaceutical funding that supports innovative clinical trials.
We also need other funding source which offers more flexibility, including AHW, for example. That helps us to build up our infrastructure, like the instrumentation support, along with personnel support. And on top of this, that will also help us to build up more collaborations.
The other source of funding that I think is really important is philanthropic funding. That allows centers to invest in ideas that have high potential, but also have high risk of failing.
So that gives us an opportunity to, for example, advance technology, which we do with certain funding mechanisms. Technology which is not available via other fundings. It is also supporting science on a daily basis to provide us with resources, but also people whom we can hire to do the work, attract talent into Wisconsin, into the Milwaukee area to provide more and more solutions and do better science.
HW provides the resources to develop infrastructure that is necessary to carry out the research. It supports the supplies required to carry out the experiments, as well as the support for the staff and trainees to perform these experiments and develop not only their careers as future scientists, but also develop and obtain the data that is necessary for the next steps in solving the puzzle of cancer.